why you always in the mood? Walk around like I'm brand new. I ain't tryna tell you what to do, but try to play cool.
This recent incident turned my life into a living nightmare. I'm still trying to recover from this trauma. I'm from California, and our college has always been a fun place for all the students. Even though we picked on each other a bit, no one ever did anything as harmful as this. Maybe that's why no one expected it to happen, and kept on playing the current trending online game, Among Us. Joining college after a long-lived quarantine came like bliss to us, but due to the protection measures of COVID-19, our football coach canceled our practices until December. You can now imagine how a bunch of locker room boys got a handful of time to kill after school. So, we all decided to do a bit of online gaming, sitting at our school cafeteria using the time slot of our football practice. For those who don't know about this game yet, let me give you a brief idea. It's a game one can play with friends online. For those who want to play alone, you can also go for a public search to play with other unknown players. The game is a task-based murder mystery. There are two kinds of players in this game, crewmates and an imposter. The crewmates finish the tasks in a space station, and the imposter takes chances to execute. Wasn't making any moves. Everyone started to make fun of the imposter without knowing who it was by saying, "What a dork, dude. Seems like the imposter is too scared to take a life virtually. The imposter is making things boring," etc. I stared at everyone's face but couldn't guess who was the imposter, though after the end of the game, we were informed about his avatar that no one revealed the imposter's identity. The next day, due to rainy weather, we left the school early and decided to play the game from our houses by sharing the passkey. The imposter managed to murder 7 crewmates without getting caught. Everyone got back their interest in the game. No one revealed the avatar of the imposter for obvious reasons. At the end of the game, we came to know a blue-colored crewmate was the imposter, but to keep the fun going, we decided not to reveal our avatars, so no one could guess who was whom. I went to bed thinking, who could be the imposter, and eventually fell asleep. When I woke up that following morning, I heard my dad talking to our college principal on the phone. I went downstairs and asked him, "What happened, Dad?" He replied in a worried voice, "One of your friends died last night. The school boards are calling every parent and warning us to keep caution. The cops think he was murdered mysteriously." I was beyond terrified to hear the news. I quickly called my friends and came to know it was Liam. He went to the backyard to dump the garbage at night, and someone silently came and slit his throat. The game Among Us also allows the imposter to kill the crewmates with a sharp, pointy knife. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know why the game came into my mind after hearing the details about Liam's murder. If I stayed on this gut feeling that day, I might have been able to lessen the damage, but our school organized a little ceremony to pay our condolences to Liam's family and pray for his soul to be in peace. The group of 10 became a group of 9. A few days passed, and we were all starting to get back to normal life. One evening, I was sitting at home bored when a friend suggested playing Among Us to kill time. Though everyone was quite upset with Liam's mysterious death, we all thought it would be a nice way to keep our minds preoccupied for a while. We started the game, and after 2 rounds of play, things were the same again. After winning his crewmates on that 3rd round, I felt the pattern repeating itself. The imposter now behaving exactly like that, killing people randomly and managing to win the game by lying in our emergency chat. This time, I asked the group chat who played the imposter in the 3rd round. Chris and Jack revealed they played the imposter in the first 2 rounds, but when asked about the 3rd round, everyone said it wasn't them. I feel someone among us was lying, but I didn't know why. Something about this was feeling odd. I told my friends I didn't want to play anymore and left the game. After that day, the actual horror began. My friends started to die mysteriously. Chris was found dead in our school library. His throat was slit too. Blood gushed out from his neck and stained the floor red. It was a vicious sight when his body was discovered. Then it was Sam. He went for a swim in our school swimming pool. A couple of cheerleaders found him floating in a pool of his own blood. Cause of death: someone slit his throat. After 3 horrible deaths of our friends, we all shook in fear. We stopped going out. We stopped going out after school or roaming around the streets. One day, Jack frantically came to see me. He seemed really nervous and panicked. I asked him, "What is it?" He said in a broken voice, "I think someone from our group is the imposter." I couldn't understand it at first, so I asked him, "What do you mean?" He said, "Don't you get it? Someone is playing the role of a real imposter among us. It's one of us who is not playing this game in real life, but also enjoying it." A chilling sensation went down my spine. Jack and I decided to see the principal the next day and tell him about all of this. I went to school and waited for Jack to arrive. We didn't tell our friends, as we didn't want to freak them out as well. After a while, I saw Jack walking towards me. I waved at him. He came to see me and said, "I called our principal. He said he will see us within an hour. Until then, I have to go to the library and return some books." I had nothing to do but wait, so I decided to accompany him. We went to the library. It was empty, as kids these days hardly come here. Jack pointed towards the last shelf on the left corner and started walking towards it. He told me to hold his backpack as his hands were filled with books already. As he got busy keeping his books, I decided to surf on my phone for a while. So I put his bag on the table near me, and as the bag hit the table, I heard a heavy metal sound, as if something in his bag clanked with the table's surface. Out of curiosity, I opened his bag, and what I saw, it stopped my heart immediately. Jack was carrying a sharp kitchen knife. It had bloodstains on it. I looked up to him with trembling eyes. He was still busy arranging the books. He turned towards me and said, "Max, come over here and help me real quick. Bring my bag for me too. I have some books in it." I knew what was going to happen next. I knew he wanted to lure me by going to him, so that he can slit my throat like Liam and Chris. I didn't wait for a second and ran to the principal's office with his backpack in my hand. The cops showed up at our campus. They discovered blood-stained clothes from Jack's locker. Jack was handcuffed and taken into police custody. We all watched him as he walked slowly to the police car. Before getting inside, he turned to us and said, in a creepy voice, "Trust me guys, it's so much more fun in real life." The Jack I saw at that moment, that wasn't my friend. His smile put me on edge. I almost became numb with fear. Jack is now in a mental institution. Doctors think over-obsession to this online game is what led him to commit these horrible murders. It's more disturbing to think how a game changed my friend. I believe this is why people say, too much of anything is not good. Be careful, guys. It's really hard to identify the imposter in real life. Don't let an online game influence you in such a manner that you end up ruining your life forever.
I always forgot how beautiful it can be up here at night.
You sure is right about that, Lightning McQueen.
Sometimes, it feels like we're the only 2 people in the world that know about this spot.
Funny you should say that, 'cause I saw a train on my way up here today.
Well, trains are pretty common around these parts. I mean, there's tracks everywhere.
Well, it was downright strange. 'Twasn't like no train I'd never seen before.
Was it blue? Like a mystical blue. Almost as if the train had become one with the air around it.
Whoa, oh, yes! Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself, Lightning. Man, that's exactly what it looked like.
When I had that wreck a while back,
Oh, boy, I remember. We all didn't think you were gonna make it out alive.
it's pretty weird. When I had the wreck, I had such an odd dream. It was a strange feeling. It was a place I've never seen before, but felt as if I'd spent a lifetime there. The only resemblance from the normal world was the sound of a train coming my way. I felt fear more than anything. Though it was the sound of a train, it felt like a thunderstorm. Like an earthquake was going to destroy the ground around me. And I would fall into a sea of nothingness. All I could do was anxiously hold my breath and brace for impact. But the impact never came. Instead, a smiling face appeared, melting from the darkness. Pale and cold, screeched forward on its tracks, only to stop right in front of me. It was as if I'd never spoken a single word in my life. I couldn't conjure a single sentence to say to him. But the train finally spoke, and I can still hear his voice in my mind.
I have seen past the farthest star, and I have gone to the edges of the earth. And I can take you there, if you so choose. I can give you all the things you never knew you wanted. Taste from the tallest chalice. Dine at the largest halls. And all I ask in return is your soul. Your soul for a chance at a life without pain, without heartache. All this I can give you and more, just for your soul.
I asked back to him, what of life after death? What of the paradises that await me in heaven above? The train did not look to me. It didn't make a single sound. Through all the steam and moving parts controlling this demonic vessel, its only reply was,
Brainy of woes. Your God has turned his back on you. That's why my tracks still push me forward.
my body was afraid. Something new and unknown. May it be death? May it be hardship? Suddenly I woke from this nightmare.
Wow. I tell you what, that's downright horrifying.
Well, I haven't really slept well since then.
Oh, come on, Lightning. It's just a train. Nothing to be afraid of out here.
I know you're right. There's nothing to be afraid of now.
When I was in elementary school, I had a friend who lived right next door. We used to go to school together all the time. One day, I was standing in front of my friend's house waiting for her as usual, and I realized that she was kind of strange when she came out. She looked kind of bemused. When I looked more closely, she was breaking out in a cold sweat. Feeling something strange, I asked my friend what was going on, and she started telling me a story about her dream. She started to dream the same dream she had from long ago. A kind-looking old lady always comes out in her dreams, and she cooks meals for her and then she eats it all. My friend had a lot of conversations with her because she gave her such a good impression. The most amazing thing was when she woke up. She felt full, as if she had actually eaten, even though it was just a dream. My friend lived alone with her maternal grandmother at the time, but on another day when my friend was about to go to school, she repeatedly requested one thing from her with a scary face. "Do not follow the stranger or anyone today, okay? Do not." My friend was confused for a moment, but reassured her grandmother, telling her not to worry, and then went to school. However, nothing happened all day. And that night, she fell asleep, and the old lady appeared in her dream as usual, and made her a meal. She was enjoying her meal, and all of a sudden, the old lady asked my friend to go somewhere with her. She held the old lady's hand and tried to follow her thoughtlessly. However, she then remembered what her grandmother said to her in the morning, so she let go of her hand and refused to go. Then she saw her face turn scary at that moment. The old lady suddenly grabbed the back of my friend's neck and began to drag her somewhere, and no matter how hard she tried to escape, she wouldn't budge at all. While she was trembling with fear, she then remembered the other thing that her grandmother had told her in the morning. "If you're dragged by someone in your dreams, don't panic. Just slam your head against somewhere, like a wall or a pillar. Then you will wake up from your dream. Understand?" My friend, who remembered the advice, saw a tree in front of her and tried to hit her head, but suddenly, the old lady laughed as she pulled my friend's head. "Who taught you this?" "Oh, I see. Your grandmother did." So she failed to wake up and was being dragged away from her dream. And the old lady's cane suddenly caught her eye. At that moment, she bumped her head with all her strength on the stick, and then finally woke up from her dream. I got goosebumps listening to my friend, since it was early in the morning. Anyway, my friend, who had been absent-minded all day, started skipping school the following day. I was worried about her, so I went to her house, but the door didn't open, and she didn't answer the phone. A month later, my friend called me, and she asked me to come over to her house. With curiosity, I ran to her house, and when I saw her again, she looked emaciated, and the atmosphere around her was quite different. Most of all, she kept laughing to herself like crazy. She dragged me into the house, took me to a room, and said this: "Hey, you see my granny? She's crazy." Then she began to giggle more, and I unconsciously turned my eyes to the room. Her grandmother, looking into the air continuously, was begging desperately in a small, tiny room without a beam of light. Her face seemed afraid of something, and she kept muttering the same words. "I didn't teach her. That was not me. Please, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Later, I heard that her grandmother had passed away shortly after, and my friend has been hospitalized because of the shock. Come to think of it now, wasn't the food she always ate in her dreams a meal for her grandmother, who would die soon?
Where there is one, let there be two. Mommy, read my note.
Where there is one, let there be two.